Okay, so let's talk about the elephant, the largest land animal on the entire planet. They are just biological marvels, right? But their sheer size creates this incredible puzzle, and that's what we're going to solve today. So, just to give you some scale here, we're talking about over 8 metric tons. I mean, that's literally the weight of a school bus. So, okay, let's dive right in. How on earth does an animal that big even power itself? And that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? They're herbivores. They survive on what looks like, pretty low quality stuff, leaves, grass, bark. So how does their internal engine turn that into enough fuel to move an 8,400 kilogram body around all day? It's amazing. All right, to figure this out, let's start from the outside and work our way in. We're going to look at the incredible toolkit these giants use just to get food into their bodies. And it all starts, you guessed it, in the mouth. And right away, this is where things get, well, really weird. See, unlike pretty much any other mammal you can think of, an elephant's molars don't grow up from the jaw. Nope, they move in horizontally, kind of like a conveyor belt from the back. It's a totally brilliant and frankly bizarre adaptation for a lifetime of just grinding down tough plants. So just picture this conveyor belt in your head. As a brand new molar starts pushing forward from the back, the old, worn-out one in front of it just literally breaks apart and falls out. It's wild. And they get 6 full sets of these molars throughout their entire life, with that final set not even showing up until they're around 40 years old. And while we're on the subject of teeth, let's talk about tusks, because here's something you might not know. We tend to think of tusks as, big canine teeth. But for elephants, they're actually their incisors, just massively, massively elongated. It's just another one of those unique features that sets them apart. And of course, you can't talk about an elephant's toolkit without talking about the trunk. It is so much more than just a long nose. This incredible 2-meter-long thing is actually a fusion of their nose and their upper lip, and that makes it this all-in-one super tool for both eating and drinking. It's funny, an elephant can't actually drink through its trunk, not directly. What happens is, a little valve closes off its airway, which lets it suck up, get this, up to 8 liters of water, basically turning the trunk into a giant straw. Then it just curls it up and sprays all that water right into its mouth. So cool. And the amount they need is just staggering. We're talking up to 200 liters of water every single day. Now, to process that much liquid, plus all the food they're eating, you're going to need a seriously specialized internal system. So let's follow that water and food inside the engine. Okay, now we're going deep inside, to the very core of the elephant's power plant. It's absolutely massive and, as you'll see, surprisingly fast digestive system. So here it is. This is our roadmap for the next little bit. The GI tracts of both Asian and African elephants. Now, they're both built on the same fundamental principle, but as we're about to see, there are some really important differences between them. So the key term to know here is hindgut fermenter. That's what elephants are. And all it really means is that, kind of like a horse, they do the hard work of breaking down all that tough plant fiber late in the game, down in their large intestine and in a special organ called the cecum. But here's where things get really counterintuitive. A horse's entire intestinal tract is something like 12 times its body length. An elephant's, it's only 3 times its body length. So for an animal that huge, its gut is, well, it's proportionally pretty short. So how does that even work? Well, the strategy is simple. Quantity over quality. Because their gut is so relatively short, they just don't have the time to slowly digest everything. Instead, their whole system is built to just push massive amounts of low-quality food through fast. The goal is to just grab enough energy to keep going. And the result of this high-speed strategy, it's a stunning, almost unbelievable level of inefficiency. I mean, look at this. Asian elephants digest less than half of what they eat. For African elephants, it can drop to as low as 32%. That means a huge amount of what they consume just passes right through, totally undigested. It's a classic high-volume, low-efficiency engine. But here's the catch. This high-speed, high-volume system is also surprisingly delicate, and when this engine breaks down, the consequences can be incredibly severe. Just like horses, elephants are really prone to some serious gut problems. Things like colic, which is intense abdominal pain, impactions, where food literally gets blocked, and bloat,
These are all common, and for an animal this big, they are all incredibly dangerous.
And what makes all of this even harder is that elephants, being so stoic, often show only the most subtle signs that they're sick. This quote from the research really highlights that challenge. Something as simple as not wanting to eat, or just a minor change in how they're acting, that might be the only warning you get that something is terribly, terribly wrong inside.
And here's where it all comes full circle, right back to those unique conveyor belt teeth. Because once that final, sixth set of molars wears all the way down in old age, the elephant can't chew its food properly anymore. And that leads to weight loss, malnutrition, and eventually a fatal blockage in their gut. The very adaptation that allowed them to thrive for decades becomes, in the end, a fatal flaw.
So, as you can see, elephants face this whole life of incredible biological challenges. It's a constant balancing act. But today, all those dangers from within their own bodies, they are absolutely dwarfed by the threats coming from the outside world. So just to recap, right? They're managing the super delicate, high-volume digestive system that's always on the edge of failure. And they've got a dental system that literally puts a clock on their lifespan. These are the natural hurdles that they've evolved over millions of years to face. But then, you see a number like this, $85,000. That's how many African elephants were poached just for their ivory in Tanzania alone in just 5 years. One country, 5 years. The scale of that it's just staggering. So, when you really step back and you look at the whole picture, despite all these intricate, fascinating biological vulnerabilities we've just talked about, the biggest threats to elephants today are, without a doubt, entirely human-made. It's poaching for the ivory trade and the relentless loss of the land they need to survive. You know, this incredible biological engine, this giant powered by nothing but plants, it's the result of millions and millions of years of evolution. And the question we're all left with is, can we, in our one short lifetime, do what it takes to protect it from disappearing forever?